Monday nights because he knows the product is so well, and he's been, really working with people, thousands upon thousands of people over the last 30, 35 years, helping them feel better, helping them overcome illnesses that perhaps traditional type of medicines weren't helping, and people looking to alternative ways of approaching something that is.
You're welcome. I always enjoy saying that or talking about Fulvic anyways. That's for sure.
Pretty awesome. Since we're on our call here, and this is our product call, there's a lot of new customers that are coming on board. They're really excited about what we have. There's a lot of new brand partners that are coming on board, taking advantage of what we have available. Maybe you can kind of go through a little bit of the Fulvic story, just to kind of get them up to speed on why we're all so excited.
Sure. Well, Fulvic is the integral part of the plant world. It comes from a bog or peat bog or a swamp, if you want to call it slang. And it actually comes from a Canadian bog because in my research 35 some odd years ago, discovered that Canadian bog contained higher levels of humic and fulvic than the ones in Europe. And that's what enticed me to start bottling this mud, because it was Canadian. And that's, a great advantage for us. So it's 1,500 plants that decompose for thousands and thousands of years. And this bog is about 60,000 years old, just to give you an idea. And as these plants decompose, they render biochemical compounds, trace minerals, vitamins, phytohormones, which is all essential to create homeostasis in the physical body. And so we are an organic structure. So if I was going to kill you, Ron, there and burn your ashes and analyze you, it would be the same thing as fulvic and humic that you find in the pouch that you buy. Same thing. We're made out of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And this is the stuff. So it has everything to sustain life. So if ever you are stuck in the forest, you find a bog, you can lay in it for heat, you can eat it to survive. And it's the same thing when you take this powder, you can survive on it. You can heal anything you want. You can do a lot of things with Fulvic, and that's the beauty. It's a very universal product. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, really.
Awesome. And for those of you, there's a lot of information on our website. Continue to read and learn as you share the message with people all around the world. So last week, we talked a little bit about the different ways we can use our Fulvic Care powder. You can take the powder as a drink. You can also take it as a balneotherapy, a mud bath. And then today we're going to talk about how do we use it as a mask. But just before we move on, when Mark was talking about these mud baths, of course, I was listening and learning, just like many of you are. And I decided to take the plunge and started to take these baths. I'm fortunate to have access to our products, and so I started using the baths, and it's quite amazing, actually. So instead of this guy being in the bath, it was actually me. And I'm not a bath guy. I'm a shower guy, and I'm a fairly big guy, so being in the bath, I can feel a little squashed up and stuff like that. It's never comfortable. So I started taking some baths, and I've always had some skin irritations, probably for the last 6-7 years. And of course, your doctors tell you to put this cream on or that cream on or whatever the case may be, and you spend quite a bit of money doing so, and away you go. And you figure that's all you can do, right? Well, it's almost like I said to Mark and Carlo when I told them, I said, this can't be. I took one bath, and all of a sudden I started noticing that I'm no longer itching. All of a sudden things are starting to change, and I take a second bath and it's feeling even better. And, I call my mom. Here I am, 56-year-old man, call mommy, hey, Mom, I can't believe this, because my father had problems with skin irritations as well. And so, it's like, yeah, and he dealt with it like forever and could never really get control. And just to share with her was pretty exciting as well. And you know what she told me, Mark? I don't know if I've ever told you this. My grandfather had a really bad train accident when he was 14 years old, shipped from Italy to the United States, was working on the train yards and got caught between two cars. Anyhow, to make a long story short, in Italy, he used to, every 3 months, he would go north, somewhere in Italy, my mother didn't know, and for a week, he would do mud baths. And that is what helped him when he came back to be able to deal with all the pain that he was actually dealing with from that accident that he actually had. And I had never known about this. It's only when we started talking about baths and Fulvic and things of that nature that my mom shared that with me. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyhow, just to share with you that this is, I don't call it a miracle, but it's just unbelievable. It really, really is. To be able to try all these different things and they kind of get under control. I go and take a bath with some black stuff in it, and the next thing you know, I'm feeling pretty awesome. So thanks again to you, Mark, and all this. I'm actually quite surprised that it worked so fast, and it continues to work. So it's pretty awesome. I actually want to take a bath now. Isn't that crazy? You know, when you know something's going to help you, it's amazing how all of a sudden you have a different way of looking at things. And now I want to take baths.
I got to tell you statistics. When I first started in the mud bath, men are not bath takers, but when they take a Fulvic, they become bathers, and the retention on men was 80% higher than women. And so if you have any aches and pains or skin problems, whatever, and you start taking mud baths, men take that regularly. And I have, people from 30 years ago still say, hey, I need that mud and I need it now. And it's men. So that's a perfect example of it.
Well, and I'm just sharing my natural what's going on. I have arthritis in both my hips, played semi-pro hockey, and so I beat myself up pretty bad. And I'm starting to look forward to that actually becoming one of the major benefits from it as well. I'm starting to feel a little bit of relief, but I wouldn't say that I'm there. But I'm certainly going to keep you all abreast of what's going on as I continue to do the bathing and just see how it goes. So pretty cool stuff. Well, today we're not talking about baths anymore and Ron Monteroli. We're talking about what to expect when it comes to putting on a mask and what are some of the benefits and how you can use the powder yet another way. Mark?
So let's talk about, I've got, really 3 essential benefits when we talk about using this on the face or on the body as a mask. First one, cell regeneration. The largest organ of the body is the skin, and that's what we treat. So whether it's the face or any other part of the body, you are going to activate cell regeneration from the epidermis down to the subcutaneous tissue, number 1. Second benefit, fulvic and humic is astringent. And now in the aesthetic world, astringency means toning. It gives suppleness, strength. Astringency for aging skin. As we age, everything seems to sag down, right? So we want to firm back up. That's exactly what Fulvic does on the skin. And number 3, it stimulates production of collagen. And as we age, we get wrinkles because we have less and less collagen. When a baby's born and you just tap on the skin and it's just like a nice elastic skin, well, that's collagen. He's got lots of collagen, but as we age, we lose it, and that's where we get our wrinkles. And so those benefits are one of the most important ones when we talk about the mask.
It's amazing. And I'm assuming that, I know my story I just share with people. I listen to a lot of testimonials, Mark. Some people get relief at whatever it is in a couple of days. Sometimes it takes 2-3 weeks. Sometimes it takes a month and a half, a little bit longer. What is your experience with the masks in general when people start seeing some sort of benefits?
Well, it all depends on what you're using it for. As a skin regeneration, same day. You cut yourself with a kitchen knife, put Fulvic on it, wrap it up in saran wrap, next day it's healed. When it comes to toning up, and when it comes to healing a certain skin tissue that is caused by arthritis or psoriasis or eczema or any type of those problems, it could take, 7 to 14 days. And of course, hydration and diet and the rest of holistic remedies are important in the process. But normally 4 to 14 days, you're going to start seeing a very good difference in the appearance of the skin that you're treating.
That's awesome. That's always nice to be able to see some benefits soon so that we know that something's actually happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about the instructions. People are waiting for their powder. They're super excited that it's coming. And so we wanted to kind of prepare them and make sure that they're doing things correctly. Maybe you could talk a little bit about this.
Yeah. And the fun thing about powder is that you can actually customize, if you want, and create different masks. Because you go into a spa or you're going to a clinic or a department store and you got a variety of masks and you got to spend money on a mask for your skin tone, a mask for acne, a mask for cell regeneration, a mask for anti-aging. Well, with this particular product, it's the same formula to create the texture of the mask. So you're actually putting half a teaspoon or 2.5 grams of Fulvic powder, and you mix it with a little bit of baking soda, and that's the delivery. That's what's going to create the little paste. And then you add either clay or seaweed if you have some in the house. It doesn't matter if you don't, you can use baking soda. Everybody's got baking soda in their home. And then you add water and you create the paste. And the texture is up to you. Some people like it thick, some people like it thin. I've seen, a lot of brand partners before we had this product use the liquid and put it on their face. So it all depends on each person. But as long as you apply it on the skin that needs to be treated, you're going to get a result. Now, the trick to getting recipes or different masks for different problems is the use of essential oils. Again, we spoke about adding essential oils in the tub last week. Well, it's the same thing when we come to different problems that we want to treat. Number one that I always talk about is skin irritation. Now, what is skin irritation? Well, any type of dermatitis, you don't know what it is, but it's redness, it's itchy, and it bothers you. Well, you just apply the mask. You can apply lavender officinalis, like we did last week. Lavender soothes and reduces the redness and helps the healing process. And of course, Fulvic will do the cell regeneration process. When we talk about skin irritation, we have problems like psoriasis, eczema, cuprose, which is the redness and the little spider veins that we have around the nose. Men have a lot of cuprose because they shave every day and they use alcohol-based perfume or creams, and that creates a lot of irritation. And of course, rosacea. And those are the most common problems when we talk about skin irritation. And so when we use skin irritation, I always use a mild essential oil like lavender. And there are many others, but we always use lavender for those types. The second problem in skin problems is acne. And there's 3 types, okay? So the first one is digestive acne. And most people that have acne around the forehead is a sign that the liver is not working properly. You're going to have acne on the forehead, and you need to treat the liver. And digestive acne is treated with rosemary essential oil. So you're going to put this rosemary essential oil in the mask. If you have the second type, which is juvenile, when you're a teenager, I'm sure that everybody here on the phone, when they were a teenager, there was 1 zip, 2 zip, 3 zip on your skin. You're saying, this is gross. I got a date. I can't have a zip. Well, if you do have that, you're going to use lemon because lemon is antibacterial. As we were young, we used to play with the zits, right, and spreads. So you need an antibacterial oil like lemon, and you're going to use lemon in the Fulvic. So you're going to regenerate the cell tissue, and you're going to asepticize the acne caused by overactive hormones when we start getting puberty. And the last but not least, it's the non-surgical facelift. And the trick to non-surgical facelift is to let it dry. Now, it's always funny because when I mention that and we try it, people are going to come back and say, oh, by the way, it's black. Oh, and by the way, it's powder. Oh, and by the way, it's messy. Oh, and by the way, it dries up and I can't even talk. What's going on? And if you let it dry, you're actually going to have a hard time talking. And a lot of people don't believe me. Just put it on one side of the face and you're going to actually see your face get crooked. That's how it works as a non-surgical facelift. Now, if you're going out on an evening and you want that tone, you do it an hour before you go out. And it's going to be a facelift. It's a natural facelift. And it really, really works. And it really works on any other bodies that's, kind of sag down as you age. So you can do it on your thighs. You can do it on your breasts. You can do all that because it tones up that area. Now, the skin's going to get red. Every time you use Fulvic or Fulvic on the skin, it's going to get red. It is absolutely normal. You're not having an allergic reaction. It's normal. So when you do use the mask, you will have redness. Why? Because it activates the circulation at the epidermis level. It brings blood to the surface. The same thing when we take a mud bath. We bring the blood to the surface to absorb this Fulvic and having the cell regenerate. So redness is normal. And and then removing it could be a challenge if you let it dry. So you can either take a shower or use a wet towel and remove it that way. Most of my masks, what I do is I take it in the bath because there's always humidity, and after 20 minutes, you just wash it off. But if you're using sponges, you can use water. It is black. Remember, it does turn black. Just so everybody knows that it does turn black. No surprises when you open up the pouch. Okay, but those are the tricks. Those are the instructions that I'd like to share with you tonight.
So Mark, you mentioned a few times, I've heard you say, hey, you can take a mask while you're taking your bath, because I know you want to elevate the water temperature and you should be, almost steaming in a sense. But you just talked a little bit about you want the mask to dry. So if you're wanting to have that non-surgical face mask, would you say that, even if you did put it in the bath, you do want to take the time for it to dry out completely? Is that right?
Yeah, you are not going to get the dryness if you're taking it with the bath. So if you really want that non-surgical facelift, that facelift effect, you let it dry. Don't take a bath with it.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. 20 minutes, 25 minutes, that's the
25 minutes. Absolutely.
Okay. I have a question here. It has to do a little bit between the liquid and the powder. It says, is the oxygen volume enhancement greater with the powder versus the liquid?
Not really. As soon as you add water, the oxygen molecules of Fulvic and water, hydrogen reacts more hydrogen in the water. As soon as it hits water, it produces more oxygen. So whether it's powder or liquid, when you add it to water, it increases the oxygen.
Okay. And how about, you didn't mention anything about essential oils for the non-surgical?
Yes. Any type of astringent oil. Again, the toning, like a marjoram, a thyme, a red thyme or white thyme. You can use marjoram, like I mentioned. Those are the oils that are very, very astringent with this non-surgical. It's not necessary. You can use straight up because you want to tone up. What I did not mention in the acne-prone skin, as there's hormonal acne. We talked about juvenile, we talked about digestive, we have not talked about hormonal. Sorry about that. So hormonal acne is very important. It's around the chin. Before menstrual cycles, women will have one pimple or two around the chin area. That's an imbalance in estrogen. And so again, Fulvic has estrogen phytohormones. So when you apply it on the skin, it helps enhance hormonal balance. And Sage officinalis is the plant that is associated to hormone. And it has to be Sage officinalis. And so every time you use an essential oil in the mask, you put 3 drops. 3 drops, that's all. You don't need more than that. So if you want to treat the acne, you want to treat the hormones, and you want to do a good healthy cleanse for your liver, you can put 3 drops of rosemary, 3 drops of sage, and 3 drops of lemon, and apply that on that mask. You're going to have a wonderful experience.
Awesome. Well, this information is pretty powerful. I think there's a lot of people writing down notes and stuff. And I think what we'll do, Mark, is we'll sit down together and maybe we'll write out some of these recipes and we'll get them out to folks so that they can start experimenting and having fun and sharing with all of us a little bit of, some of the results that they're getting as well. I think that might be a lot of fun. How about scarring, things of that nature? I'll ask you about scarring, but I was going to ask you another question. I'm assuming it's obviously helping with any type of different surgical scars or anything of that nature over time.
Yes. So, after surgery, for example, or scar from having stitches or any type of scarring, it brings up the blood and it helps cell regeneration. So it actually can alleviate certain scars on the skin. Impetigo, whitening of the skin too. When we talk about Asians or different types of skin, whitening can happen by using Fulvic because it works on not the melatonin, the melanin of the skin. And so that is also another benefit where we can talk, at another call, but those are other benefits that the mask and the Fulvic can do for people.
Hey, I want to ask one question. You shared something with me, and I think it might make sense for people to hear it. You kind of talked about it a little bit, but I was talking a little bit of psoriasis on the elbow and stuff, and you said, yeah, why don't you put a mask on your elbow? So maybe you could talk a little bit about that. And I thought that was pretty smart.
There are different ways of doing that. We're talking about poultice, and that's different. It's not a mask. So we can talk about poultice at another call, but a poultice is actually wrapping it up with plastic or saran wrap to cut the oxygen. It's a totally different concept from a mask. But if you want to dry up the area with the psoriasis, you can apply it as a mask. But there are other recipes that we're going to talk about is poultice and wraps that we can use also.
Perfect. That just goes to show I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to masks. See? Hey, we're all learning on this journey. It's I'm just so happy to be a part of the company and helping people grow their business because, when you start hearing about these type of things, I know myself being one that on the receiving end, it's different, it's real, it's fresh. There's nothing behind it. There's no ulterior motives. It's just a great product that people need to use, and people are getting results, period. It works. There's nothing else to say about it, and it's pretty exciting to be a part of a company that puts product quality first over and above everything else. So really grateful for all of that as well.